just those three really easy dates to remember. Taking us back 20 years before that, 1851. Now Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, was a very progressive man. He believed that everybody, no matter who you were, which family you came from, how much money you had, everyone should have access to art, lectures, entertainment, everything that makes life fun. He believed everyone should be able to afford and access those kinds of opportunities. Bring their latest innovations in art, design, technology, and display it all in this huge exhibition space. First event like this of its kind, really. Many of the world's exhibitions, trade fairs that we see today came from this event in the 1850s, and it turned out to be a huge success. So the stage, as you're seeing now, the auditorium, as you're seeing now, has to be set up however that is needed for that particular performance, all then taken down and reconstructed in time for the following day. Now what makes all of that possible was a huge refurbishment that took place here in 2003. During that time, we essentially dug a massive hole underneath the auditorium floor. And down there, we have what we call our loading bay. Now that is essentially a huge warehouse, almost, space-wise. And all of the big trucks now, carrying all of the sets, all of the equipment for a show, can now drive underneath the stage, underneath the building, unload everything into some huge platform lifts, which then raise up to the auditorium floor level, and everything can then be unpacked here inside. Everything set up for however the stage needs to look for that particular show. The loading bay also has a couple of other uses. So we have had silent discos down there. We have had some performances take place. We've had chess boxing take place down in the loading bay. People playing a round of chess and then having a boxing match and continuing until somebody wins. It sounds crazy, but it's true, and it really happened here. And on that vein of the crazy but the true that happens here, you might be surprised to know that we are not just a music venue. So music is absolutely what we are best known for here at the hall. You've probably seen clips online or on the TV of performances taking place in this lovely auditorium. We have been home to the BBC Proms, the music festival here, since 1941. 72 concerts every summer, primarily classical music, but not only. They have now become synonymous with what we do here at the hall. Rock and pop is of course another huge part of our programme. We are one of only 2 places in the world to have hosted the Beatles and the Rolling Stones on the same bill, on the same night. They can fight amongst themselves who was the headliner. We've had Ed Sheeran here last weekend. Adele has performed there as well over the years. This was the only place on her tour at the time when she was struggling with her vocal health. Playing here was the only date that she did not cancel. It's a place people love to come and perform at. It's a bucket list venue for a lot of the performers, and we're very lucky to come and welcome them and excite our audiences in the process. But as I said, outside of music, there are plenty of weird and wonderful things that have happened here in this building. For a show, we can get up to 900 people stood down there to watch the show. Seating as you see it today, We can fit 5,272 people in here for a show. We've also been home to many boxing matches throughout the years. So Muhammad Ali, Frank Bruno, Lennox Lewis have all fought in this building. When that happens, and for many of our concert events as well, we often do not have any seating down there on the arena floor. So we do today. Boxing was a bit of an unusual one. No seating down there. It was in the boxing ring in the centre of the floor. Everybody able to spectate 360 degrees. Down there, a sumo ring. People sat on cushions on the floor ringside watching the sumo wrestling. Now, in order for that to take place, we had to check a few things in the building. Backstage, we tested that our seating was strong enough to take the weight of some very heavy wrestlers, and also that our showers, our backstage areas were large enough to accommodate them. So sometimes some modifications, some testing has to be done before an event can go ahead. The dance performances take place here, sometimes on ice. We can ice over our auditoriums. We can have a higher stage for many of our ballet performances that take place. We often welcome the English National Ballet here for a string of performances every summer. So this place can look very, very different depending on what's taking place within it. It's probably Madame Butterfly, so the Puccini opera. We had a performance of that here in 2011. And we flooded the auditorium floor with 56,000 litres of water. All of that water down there on the arena floor, because it needed to look like a Japanese water garden for their set, for their scenery. They then wanted all of that drained away so that it would be dry in time for Act 2. Now we've got a great view here of our lovely organ here at the hall. That is in fact as old as the hall itself and is still in perfect working condition. So we have an associate artist here at the hall called Anna Lapwood. She's a fantastic organist, a relatively young organist in her 20s. It is just one short of 10,000 pipe, and as I said, still in perfect working condition. So we're very lucky to have that here at the hall. When we opened, that was in fact the largest organ in the world. I believe the largest now is somewhere in the United States. Now, when we were downstairs, we paused at the point in our story. There was no money left to build the Royal Albert Hall. This place did not exist, nor was there any money to build it. Henry Cole, though, Albert's friend, very determined man, adamant that this place or a building like this should still exist. So he came up with a different plan to raise the money to build it. Now that plan involved selling seats to the public. This place hadn't been built, and he said, why don't we sell seats, offer seats to the public to buy? It would cost them £100 and the seat would be theirs for 999 years. Sounds crazy? Pretty good investment really, £100 for a seat for nearly 1,000 years. Doesn't sound like much money today. In Victorian England, of course, £100 was worth a lot more than it is now. That was around 2 years' salary for the average London labourer. But there were plenty of wealthy Victorians who could, of course, afford it. And they actually managed to sell around 1,300 seats to around 350 different people. So the seats you're in now, and indeed around a quarter of the seats that you're currently looking at, are actually, to this day, privately owned. The King is the only remaining member, the only remaining seat owner that gets tickets to 100% of the shows here. So a nice perk to be the King. Everyone else gets 60%, but the King is the King. Of course, that does not mean that we see him here. In that time when he is not here, or when the royal family are not used, that does not mean that it remains empty. If you work for the King, job perk, if you're lucky enough to work for the palaces, and if you're lucky enough to get the tickets when you apply, you pay just £5 for your tickets. So you could come and see Last Night of the Proms, Eric Clapton, who has played here 216 times to date. No other headliner comes anywhere close to that number, and he's coming back again next year. You could see any of the number of great shows that we put on here at the hall, from some of the best seats in the house for just £5. There's kind of 3 columns of seating, obviously the big one in the middle. The kind of top left quarter of that big chunk of seating, when all the seats are removed, underneath that there are markings on the floor and that is where the lift is that comes up and down. Sometimes we're lucky with tours and we'll come in here and the seating is all gone and you will actually see the lift in action. There was a tour yesterday morning where that was the case, so it was really nice to explain something and everyone see it before their eyes at the same time. Typically though, a lot of the filming will take place from up in the gallery where we're going to head shortly. Right. You get some great aerial, almost bird's eye view shot. They will come up the staircase, be greeted by a line of people, conveniently opposite their box, and open that door just behind you. Through to Elizabeth and Philip on the wall just over there. Super common question. These are all sent to us by the palace. We are awaiting Charles and Camilla, as I'm sure many institutions are around the world. And that's an excellent second question that I also do not have an answer for. So where they will go in this room, I'm also not too sure. Highly doubt that we would take anybody down. I believe we will likely probably start a new layer. I hope they won't be in colour for the first time. I hope they shall look like the rest of them. But time will tell. You'll have to come back and see us sometime next year, hopefully, and then you can see where we've ended up with the new King and Queen on our walls. Just £8, standing ticket on the day of each concert. Come and see some of the best classical musicians in the world every summer. As I said, probably the cheapest ticket price you would pay to see anything. We've also been showing films here since the late 1800s. In more recent times, we have some really special versions of films. So we show some of the classics. Recently, we've had Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, Black Panther, I think earlier this year too. When that happens, we actually transform into Europe's largest cinema. Something I forgot to mention from the sports when we were downstairs was that we were home to Britain's first indoor marathon in the early 1900s. Now that involved just two people running 524 laps of the arena floor down there. One of those people dropped out halfway through, so by the end people were watching just one man running around in circles over 500 times. We repeated that event 100 years after it first happened in 2009, and people said it was the most boring event they'd ever been to, so I don't think we'll be repeating it again. looking at some behind me of Victoria as a much younger woman. She was only 23 in that portrait. We traditionally see pictures of her much later in life, so nice to see her as a younger and probably much happier lady before the passing of Albert.
May it be an evening star shines down upon you. May it be when darkness falls, your heart will be true. You walk a lonely road, oh how far you are from home. Morning air, ooh, to believe and you will find your way. Morning air, a lofty a promise lives within you. May it be the shadows call